This is page 7, line 3, the last line at the bottom of the page. Now we got both hands going here. So it's similar to what we've had before, but now both hands. One at a time, but still both hands. You got both hands on the keyboard, is what I'm saying. Huh? And it gives me a chance to go ahead and explain the rest of the symbols we're seeing. Because there's 2 more symbols that we've been seeing that I haven't talked about. And that would be the clef signs. Clef, C-L-E-F, clef. They talk about them at the top of page 5. They point them out. A treble clef sign and a bass clef sign. End of lesson. There's more to it than that. The treble clef sign is in the upper staff. Now don't get the idea that the other upper staff always has to be a treble clef sign. It doesn't. It's just right now it's going to be a treble clef sign. Let's just focus on that for now. The treble clef sign tells us where the notes are in the staff. Because it's like, look at the second measure there with that half note E. Well, that bottom line could be some other note, not an E. It could be an A or a G or whatever. But that treble clef tells us that bottom line is going to be an E. You see the bass clef, the bottom line there, that's not an E down there. That's something else. I'll get there later. The treble clef is also known as a G clef. The G, letter G. And it tells us that where the note G is on the staff. If I know where one note is on the staff, I can figure out all the others by going up and down the alphabet. I can count it out. And so this clef sign tells us where G is. And it does that, if you look at the clef sign in the lower part of it, there's a circle sort of. It kind of curls around. Right in the middle of that circle, that curl, is a line. That's what it's pointing out. It's saying this line in the middle here is a G. Well, if that's a G, go down the alphabet. F is, and before that you get an E, E, F, G, E. So the bottom line has to be an E. See, it figures out, is what I'm saying. If I know where G is, I can figure out all the others. So that top clef, treble clef, is what it's called most of the time, but it can be called a G clef. The bottom clef is called a bass clef, and it tells us where the notes are in the lower staff. It's also known as an F clef because it tells us where the F is in the staff. If I know where one note is, the F, I can figure out the others. And it does that by those 2 dots. There's a line that goes between those 2 dots. That's the F. So you're saying, well, why don't they just use the same clef in both staves? Why do I have to learn 2 clefs? And the answer is because you'd have to add so many of these ledger lines because we're going all over the place. So C in the upper staff is already 1 ledger line below. If I want to go lower than that, I got to keep adding ledger lines. Yuck. So we have another clef that tells us what these other notes are, and it just keeps going down. They go together. It's a grand staff. The middle C's in the middle, and all the other notes just go up and down the alphabet from there. It works out very nicely. So if this is F, but this is a C in the bass clef, or the F clef, and A, that's the top line on the bass clef, because remember the next to the top line between the dots is an F, so I go up G, E, because there's notes and spaces and notes and lines, and you'll get used to it in time. Your assignment here is to memorize these notes and know them instantly. When you see them in the music, know instantly the name of the note. Also to know where those notes are on the keyboard. We've had these notes so far. So you should know what these notes are, the names of these notes. It doesn't matter where they are. You should know the names of the notes. And then if you know the name of the note in the music, which you should, then you can correlate them. You can line them up where those notes in the music are these notes on the keyboard. Now, I like to do line 3 with you to make sure that we have this. And what we're going to do is you have both hands on here, and the thumbs are sharing middle C. Doesn't work out real well. We call this a middle C position. because the thumbs are showing middle C. Well, the notes aren't wide enough for two fingers to be on, at least not my fingers. So what happens is it's a timeshare thing. They share it. It's one or the other, and the other one gets out of the way. So if the C is in the upper staff, the right hand gets it, and if the C is in the lower staff, the left hand gets it. And the other fingers will stay where they're at. And that's where we are for this piece. We're right here. So the first two measures, the right hand's playing those, and the next two measures, then the left hand gets to play those. And then the right hand, and then the left hand. That's the way that works. So you learn this so you can play it, and then come back and do the play with me. We'll make sure you have the right notes and the right rhythm going the right time. So I'm going to give us 4 counts. Let's try this out. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, off. Over on the previous page, there is a duet part for the teacher or somebody who can play that, to play along with you, and they will do that. However, for this one, either you need 2 keyboards, or you can just pretend middle C is down here and play it all down here. Down here. Because the duet part is up here in this part area. Or you can play it where you're at if you don't mind being close together. I'm going to give us 4 counts. You play what we just did, and I'll play this part on the previous page. 1, 2, ready, go.